What's up, everybody? Demon back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing a Kong Skull Island news updates. Now the thing is, there's so much news to cover here, even more news than the last one. So most of the time, I feel like, or at least some of the time, I feel like, when the news is on screen, like when you're seeing it, when you're seeing the pictures, when you're seeing this, when you're seeing that, it's just gonna be like the pictures and kind of a quick montage, kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, kind of like a PowerPoint kind of thing, because there's no way I'm gonna be able to sit here and commentate over every picture. There's just way too much of it. So let's get into it, starting out with some old news, and then we'll transition into the really big new news. So getting right into this, shall we? We'll start with some Kong LA premiere stuff. There was a video released of the Kong LA premiere. We actually saw the giant footprints on the beach, giant footprints all over LA. There was, then the video ends. There was interviews with the cast and the crew and everything like this. Not really the crew, but the cast. I guess the crew because the director. But interviews with them about filming the movie, and it was all at the LA premiere. It was really cool. Go check that video out. Also, I will try and link every single thing I can down below, so be sure to check out the description down below for all the good Kong news that I'm just going to briefly mention here, because, like I said, there's just way too much. So let's blow through as much of it as we can. This news is really crazy, and it's actual news for once. Now, even though it's actual news, we're still kind of late to the topic. I think we should still talk about it anyways because it happened. It's a thing. You can look up different articles than the one I have linked down below. You can try and find the original video that I'll have clips of play coming up here in a second. But what happened was, it appears at some sort of premiere, presumably Vietnamese. I don't know where this city is. Ho Chi Minh City. There was a Kong Skull Island premiere. Now, they had a giant animatronic Kong. He was holding on to two sides of this mountain kind of thing. He wound up actually catching fire. The whole thing went ablaze. The whole set went ablaze. Huge fire. Everyone freaked out. Luckily, no one was injured. Now, everyone made it out okay. They were all still able to attend the screening of Kong Skull Island. It's just pretty crazy to think that, you know, this malfunction could happen. And it's very lucky that no one got injured due to it.
These beautiful people that are being right here. You know what? I was standing there and I was actually scared myself.
Let's talk about this super old thing that I've been meaning to talk about in every news update I've done ever since it came out months and months ago. I'm just gonna say, yeah, there was this cool little Skull Island promo clip that was released months ago. It was just a skull crawler, and then that's actually seen in the movie. I know the movie's already out, so there's really no point in me talking about a lot of this news. I just want to cover it all really quickly anyway. So, Snapchat put out a Kong Skull Island filter in the days before Kong Skull Island was released in theaters. You know, really cool. There's been a ton of behind-the-scenes pictures and videos released of Kong Skull Island. You can see them talking about filming on location, as well as you can see a bunch of HD pictures of them either filming on location or a bunch of really great screenshots from the movie that it just looks really good. So I'm going to quickly zoom past this all. I hope you guys, check it out, enjoy. If you want to slow it down so you can see each picture individually, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to slow it down for you because I really want to just get on with the news here.
because I was traveling all over the world and had like beautiful subjects to take photos of. So it was great to be able to capture that.
We took off and we flew out into the Pacific. It's an unrepeatable experience.
It took us 3 boats to get to set.
Really quick, one of these pictures revealed a pretty cool Easter egg to us fans. This picture was something that I didn't really notice when I watched the movie multiple times. A lot of people didn't notice it when they watched the movie multiple times, even if you Easter egg hunted like I did. But a lot of people didn't notice that the hat that John Goodman's character Bill Randa is wearing is very, very similar to the hat that Carl Denham wears in the original King Kong 1933. So I just felt that that's a cool thing that I could bring up here. There's been a ton of Kong Skull Island art, concept art that's being released, as well as just different art from the Monarch website that's being released. We'll talk more about the Monarch website here in a minute. But the thing is that a lot of this art's been being released because the Kong Skull Island, the art of Kong Skull Island, is actually out. It's for sale. I have not been able to get my hands on it. I'm still trying to focus on getting the art of Shin Godzilla before I get the art of Kong Skull Island, because the art of Shin Godzilla is just more expensive. It's only going to go up in price with time, so I want to get that as soon as I can. Now, you guys can go check it out because it's it seems really cool. There's a lot of great concept art in here, and like I said, there will be some concept art that'll play on screen here. There's a Kong Skull Island costume that you can get for your little kids if you're a parent, or just for your your younger sibling if you're my age. I don't think I'm gonna get it for my little brother. I don't know if he'd ever wear it either, but I don't know. It's weird. There's a Kong Skull Island. There's a King Kong costume out in sales. You guys can pick that up if you want. I don't know why you would. I own the King Kong 2005 costume because I was like 4 or 5 or in that area when the movie came out. So if you want it for a little kid, I guess it's good for a little kid. I still have mine from way back when, so if you want to get it for a little kid, go for it. I'm sure they'll love it. There was a visual effects breakdown for Kong Skull Island. It had a lot of really great visual effects in here, a lot of great process of how they did this stuff. I really suggest checking that video out as well. It's pretty cool. We get a lot of stuff like that in the special features for movies, so I won't be surprised if we see a lot of this in the coming months, as well as when the DVD's released. Just like we got with Shin Godzilla, we got a lot of visual effects breakdowns leading up to the movie's release. And then after the movie was released, we continued to get them all the way up until it came out on DVD, so I will not be surprised if the same kind of trend happens here with Kong Skull Island. Alright, let's just kind of blast through as much of this news as we can, okay? So there's a Kong Skull Island IMAX website. It's alright. It's very similar to the way that Shin Godzilla IMAX website worked, which is it gives you a map of all screening locations in America, so you guys can check out that. If you still haven't seen Kong Skull Island and you plan to, and you don't really want to guess what theater it's going to go to, or look up individual theaters, you guys can go on this website. It'll tell you every theater it's playing in America, it'll be specific to your region, and then you can check out times and everything from the website, so I'll link it down below. It's the IMAX website too, so it'll hook you up with the best quality version of this movie. Really quick, I just want to mention the fact that I find it pretty surprising because the Kong Skull Island after credits scene, although it wasn't leaked before the movie came out, we all knew what was going to be in the after credits scene before the movie came out, or we knew at least what the implications were of the after credits scene before the movie came out, because somehow the actual end credits got leaked before the movie came out, so you got to see all of the different end credits. The reason I'm bringing this up is because a recent revelation kind of came in the fan base recently when a lot of people realized that Toby Kibble, who plays Jack Chapman in the movie, is also credited as the motion capture person. But a lot of people like me thought that Terry Nortre was the motion capture person because he's been on Interview Well stating that he's the motion capture person. Now, the truth is that both of them are. Terry Nortre does the visual bodywork for Kong, and the person who plays Jack Chapman, Toby Kibble, he actually just does the facial movements. Here's one from trademarks.com. If you guys want to go check this out, it's kind of cool. I mean, the word Ramarka or Ramarak, depending on how you want to pronounce it, is been trademarked as the official name for the quote-unquote big one, the large skullcrawler that's seen in the boss battle of Kong Skull Island. So I guess we have an official name for him. Still waiting on an official name for the male and female Mutos from Godzilla 2014, though. Terry Nortre, the guy who does, like I said, the main visual work for Kong in this movie, has been on record stating that he has gotten permission from Andy Serkis to do the motion capture for Kong. He said that Kong was Serkis's character. He also is working with Andy Serkis on the upcoming Planet of the Apes movie. They've worked together in previous Planet of the Apes movies, just alongside with Toby Kibble, meaning that 3 people in Planet of the Apes movies, 3 people at the very least in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, have all portrayed Kong in motion capture before. Actually, the only 3 people in history to portray Kong in motion capture were all in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes as different apes. So that's a really cool fun fact. Toby Kibble actually plays Koba, and Terry Nortre plays a couple background apes. So Terry Nortre went on record saying that he asked Andy Serkis' permission. He also got a little bit of advice from him, and then he got some advice from the people behind the scenes of the movie, like the people directing the movie, the writers. They basically told him to play Kong like he was a teenager in the movie. An angsty teen is kind of the way he describes it. And when you watch the movie knowing that that's how he plays Kong, it really comes across, because there's some great scenes when Kong's, sitting there kind of moping, but honestly, when you think about Kong's life, his parents got killed right in front of him and everything like that, so Kong doesn't have, the greatest life. He's all alone. He's the last of his kind, so I think that's really cool when you know kind of the background of it. Terry Nortre has also been officially signed on for the sequel, so he's going to continue doing the motion capture for Kong. He's also talked about how he's all excited to do the progression, how Kong's going to be a noble warrior in the next few movies, how in this movie he was kind of just this brute, but in the future movies, whichever future movies, plural, he's in, he is going to be playing Kong as more of a noble warrior who's matured, very brave, very protective, very intelligent. I think that's just crazy cool. I cannot wait. Now, speaking of multiple Kong Skull Island movies, sounds like that director Vogue Roberts, and I'm sure that legendary Warner Brothers and that third company, whose name always slips my mind at First Wanda Group, I'm sure that all 3 of them will be down for a Kong Skull Island sequel or spin-off. He wants to do a spin-off. I'm sure they'll all be down for that, because Kong Skull Island, as we'll talk about here in a minute, is the most successful King Kong movie in history. So, what he wants to do is tell the story of Hank Marlowe and Gunpei Akari, their story of in between the intro scene to Kong Skull Island when they crashed on the island in 1945, all the way up until 1973, when he is rescued from the island. They want to tell the story of in between what happens to Hank Marlowe and Gunpei Akari when they're on the island. It'd be another island-central movie. I don't think it would have the same kind of tone. I'm sure it'd be a much more serious tone, except for we would have the main character being Hank Marlowe, who is, of course, played by John C. Reilly, a comedian. However, this would be the young Hank Marlowe, so it'd be the other actor who played him. Now, this is pretty cool. So he's the only goofy character in the movie. This would be pretty cool, because we'd get a full movie kind of centered around learning about Kong's past. Of course, we are getting a spin-off comic about a sequel comic learning about Kong's past, as we'll talk about here at the end of the video. So, I don't know. It's just kind of cool to me that if you think about it, we could get this mid-quel story, the story that a lot of people, including myself, have been dying to know what happens in. Of course, we know Marlowe survives and Gunpei doesn't. Director Vogue Roberts went on record talking about why Godzilla A was not seen in the movie directly, and B, his original intro for the movie. So his original intro for the movie was King Kong from 1933. He never flat out said it's going to be King Kong from 1933. He said Kong, or a giant ape who resembles the gorilla from 1933 and previous Kong movies, was originally going to jump out of this kind of forest during the middle of a battle on a beach in World War II. So there was going to be presumably American soldiers charging at Japanese soldiers, everyone killing each other. Giant ape comes out, they kill him right away. They just shoot him dead. You're supposed to sit there and be like, wait a minute, was that Kong? Did they just kill Kong in the opening? Then the Kong from Skull Island, 100 feet, walks out, stares at everyone, and wipes out the entire army, both sides of the army, kills them all. They're just all wiped out, and then the credits roll. So, the intro credits. So, I'm glad they didn't go with that opening. I think it's kind of disrespectful to previous Kong movies, especially the original. You really don't want to mess with that because that movie is kind of like the gold standard for movies. And it is disrespectful. Roland Emmerich does this with Godzilla 1998. He disrespects the original source material, which winds up making a bad movie. So I'm glad they didn't go with that intro. I don't think he meant to do it as a disrespectful thing. I think he just meant to do it as a mislead. But I'm glad they didn't go with it because I probably wouldn't have liked it if I saw it on screen. Now, what I'm not glad that they didn't go with was the original ending to the movie, which is the after credit scene, which featured Houston Brooks, Missan, as well as James Conrad and Mason Weaver. They were all going to be on a boat in the water. This iceberg, they were going to see this iceberg, and Godzilla was going to be inside of it. It was just going to be one of those, and then I think they said Godzilla was going to swim away or something like that. Now, I don't know. I really wish they went with this because, first of all, it would be a great reference to the 2014 concept art, which originally featured Godzilla frozen in ice, and we just never saw that brought to life on screen because they were afraid that it was going to be too similar to Man of Steel. But I really think it would have been cool to see Godzilla in the movie directly. However, I do think the after credits scene they went with the cave paintings of Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, as well as Godzilla, I think those were all really, really good choices. Second best option, I think, if you're not going to show Godzilla directly, show him indirectly. I think it would have been kind of cheap if all we saw was Houston Brooks being like, check this out, we got footage of this giant monster, clicks play on the projector, then we see the intro credits to 2014. I mean, that would have been a cool reference to 2014, however, I'm not sure I would have been too pleased with the fact that we're just reusing information here.
Kong is not the only king.
Let's get into the Monarch website. There's been some huge updates. So the Monarch website has pretty much transformed entirely from the last time we talked about. There is now field reports, which are done by Houston Brooks. There is a cryptozoology file, which is a lot of concept art and a lot of monsters either seen or not seen in Kong Skull Island. We get, descriptions about all of them, actual scientific names for them, everything like that. Really, really good stuff. I would suggest if you're a fan of Kong Skull Island or the MonsterVerse in general, definitely read this stuff because it could come into play later on. There are some field recordings. There's a personal journal done by Mason Weaver, which is a lot of behind-the-scenes footage, or not footage, but pictures, as well as a lot of black and white HD screen grabs from the movie. Looks really good. There's some locations, aka some mini clips placed around the island to give you kind of the geography of the landscape, and then there's the trailer. So really, it has changed quite a bit since last time we talked about it. Last time we talked about it, all it had was the mini clips placed around the island. Now you have all this other stuff. It's really, really interesting. Go check it out. Also, there's like some Landsat features to it now. There's you can scroll around the island now. You used to not be able to do that. They really have updated the Monarch website quite a bit, and I can't wait to see if they continue to do that. Like leading up to Godzilla 2014 coming out, are they going to update it so you can either go check out Skull Island or you can check out wherever like they're going to find Mothra, like Infant Island. There's going to be other locations you can go check out. I think that'd be really cool. I want them to continue to update this one website. I'm sure they'll have to change the URL from Discover Kong Skull Island to just like discovermonarch.com or something like that. I think that'd be really cool. Be a neat way to make the whole universe feel connected. Let's talk about the Kong Skull Island box office. So initially we start out, we have a really good opening weekend of $47 million, and then we start to head upward. Kong Skull Island was then considered a minor success when it broke even and started to make a little bit of money a couple weeks ago. Recently, Kong Skull Island passed the $534 million mark, and it actually surpassed Godzilla 2014's entire theatrical runtime. Godzilla 2014 only made $529 million in total in the box office. Kong Skull Island then in 31 days passed the 44 weeks Godzilla 2014 was in theaters by a long shot, as it passed $535,205,906, which is really, really great, and it just continued to go up from there. King Kong 2005 ended its theatrical run at $550,517,357. Now, Kong Skull Island actually passed that, making it the highest grossing King Kong movie of all times. It actually passed that, and it got $552,346,181. This is really great because now Kong Skull Island is no longer considered a minor success. It's considered pretty much a box office success overall, which is really good news because that's going to increase the budget for future MonsterVerse films. It's going to make Legendary place a lot more stock in these monster movies, especially the fact that Godzilla 2014 did okay, and then Kong Skull Island comes and dominates the box office. Kong Skull Island did get beat by Beauty and the Beast, but overall its ratings are higher than Beauty and the Beast, which is really good news. Now that could also be pushed back from people against the LGBT community for Beauty and the Beast. Of course, that movie features a gay character, but Kong Skull Island kind of plays it safe. It's a very traditional movie. It's very fun. It's kind of a throwback to the way things used to be, which might be why it's been so successful, and it actually kind of hung on to the top of the box office up there with Logan. Then, of course, Boss Baby and a couple other movies came out that, due to spring break coming up and littler kids wanting to go to the movies, everything kind of fell down lower. Kong Skull Island's still doing really well, though. Overall, its worldwide box office is really good, so its American box office isn't doing amazing. It's where its money is actually being pulled in from is mostly from China. So I guess Wonder Group is kind of sitting back going, yeah, we just saved you again. But Legendary Studios and Warner Brothers have really got to figure out how to market the movies for Americans, because clearly it's working for the Chinese audiences. Of course, me and you guys love these movies, but I think they need to do a better job making it more mainstream for Americans. Now, I'm not saying make the movies more mainstream. I'm saying do a little bit of what Kong Skull Island did. Try and fix that up so you're not too Suicide Squad, and try and make the trailers more mainstream to attract more people. Maybe make the posters more mainstream. Of course, Godzilla King of the Monsters has cast some really heavy hitters in terms of American actors, so I'm sure that one will also do pretty well. Kong Skull Island had pretty much a grade A cast when it comes to American actors, but I think the difference is those actors are all well known for kind of different character things. These actors that they're casting in Godzilla King of the Monsters are known for being generally good actors at everything. So I'm pretty happy about that, and of course we'll cover that in the next Godzilla news update, which should be pretty soon considering the fact that there's been a lot of casting calls recently that I want to cover. So I guess that's everything that has to do with the Kong Skull Island box office. Let's finally get into the news that I've wanted to talk about all video. I really tried to rush through this all for you guys. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, dude, you put it in the title and then you're going to make us wait till the very end. I know it is what it is. I'm sorry about that, but let's get into the final news stories. Number one, we'll start out with the lesser important news story because it's already happening and it's not as groundbreaking.
Welcome to Monarch. This is our chance to finally discover how Kong became king. Do you want to know the truth? This is Houston Brooks, signing off.
So there's a new comic book coming out. I'm not sure who the distributor is, but it's tied into the Legendary Monsterverse. Now, this is very much in the style of the Godzilla 2014 comic, Godzilla Awakening. So this comic is called Skull Island Birth of Kong. This takes place, I believe in like 2012, around that area, and it takes place with the son of Houston Brooks going to Skull Island after finding Houston Brooks, after finding his Monarch journals, finding out what Skull Island is. He goes to the island to figure out what all is going on there, and of course he runs into Kong. We actually find some natives in the first issue who can speak now. I will be doing a review for the first issue in these next couple days, and a little bit of a discussion / breakdown of it. The main story is Houston Brooks' kid goes to Skull Island, meets Kong, meets the natives, finds out about Kong's original backstory. We find out how the Skullcrawlers killed Kong's parents. We find out all the lore of Skull Island. It looks very, very interesting. I cannot wait for issues 2 through 4. It's going to be a 4-part miniseries. It will be released in one volume, and it will be released the same style that Godzilla Awakening was. Now, the difference between Skull Island Birth of Kong and many other comics is most comics come out monthly. This comic is coming out a lot of months apart. I believe this is because they're going to try and stretch this out so that they can eventually follow it up with potentially a Mothra solo comic, after that a Rodan solo comic, and then a Ghidorah solo comic, which will lead straight into Godzilla King of the Monsters. The reason I think they're doing this is just because it doesn't make sense for them to have a really large time gap in between issue 1 of Birth of Kong and issue 2 of Birth of Kong. Issue 2 comes out in a couple months, so we're gonna have to wait a while for it. But I'm ready for the wait. I still have to figure out when. That will be, of course, in the discussion video for the comic in general. We're gonna focus all on the comic there, but we're just gonna kind of mention it here. Now, this is pretty cool. So I don't know. I think it's I think that the first issue was off to a good start, and I cannot wait to see where the story continues to progress from there. It's also some great world building. Now, getting into this really crazy news, I'm not sure how I feel about this, okay? So there is a King Kong female lead TV series in the works. It is called King Kong Skull Island. The thing is, first of all, that sounds way too similar to Kong Skull Island, and I understand that the story Skull Island has been around for years and years and years. It was originally created by DeVito. I don't remember his first name, something DeVito, and he originally created this. It was like an art book. Now, this focused on the 1933 universe in a world where Son of Kong doesn't happen. So this world was a world where 1933, the movie happens. Carl Denham, I believe, I haven't read it yet, but I plan to, especially now that there's going to be a TV show adaptation of it. Carl Denham goes to Skull Island. He lives there. He basically becomes the Hank Marlowe of the group. He kind of stays there, grows to be this like old withered man. He learns about the lore of Skull Island. It's operating the very similar way that the new Kong Skull Island Birth of Kong is operating, where it's a sequel and a prequel at the exact same time. This one is a sequel to Kong 33 because you have Carl Denham's son going to the island to find out about what his father saw there, find out what happened and all this stuff. And at the same time, you learn about the original Kong's backstory. So you learn that initially there was like this really high race of humans who lived on the island. They bred the Kongs. They kind of created this super race of giant ape by selectively breeding them. And that is how King Kong wound up being King Kong. So they did this. They wound up, there's this giant monster called Ga on the other side of the island. It's a very obvious reference to Godzilla. It's essentially Godzilla. Godzilla lives on the other side of the island, and they put up this big wall. They're like, we can't let that in our camp. So they put up this massive wall, and they're like, geez, this Ga thing is really messing up our stuff. Now, Ga winds up killing all of Kong's species. King Kong from the 33 movie kills Ga, cementing his title as King Kong, and then he lives out the rest of his days on the island. So the wall... Then the natives who crashed on the island, they initially, I think, they shipwrecked on the island, and then they bred the Kongs. So initially these natives were really intelligent. Now, years and years and years down the line, more ships wreck, different natives are introduced to this camp, and eventually it just kind of gets withered away into this nothing group of savages that we see in Kong 33 that's really terrified of King Kong because they don't understand why the wall was there initially. The wall wasn't there initially to keep King Kong out. It was there to keep Ga out. Now they're afraid of Kong because they're like, well, this wall is here for a reason, I guess. So, very interesting stuff. There's actually another prequel comic to the prequel that's called, I believe it's called Kong of Skull Island. It's being distributed by Boom Studios. I believe it actually just finished up recently. I've been planning on getting it, but my local comic shop doesn't have the volume yet. They're going to get it this month, so by the end of next month, I should have a review out on the channel for it. I'm planning on doing a lot more comic book reviews coming up. So, there's a prequel comic to that about the initial natives who crash on the island and breed the Kongs. And then that leads into the backstory for this book, which is the savage natives afraid of Ga, and then Kong kills Ga, and then that leads into Carl Denham landing on the island, taking Kong back to New York. Kong dies, Carl Denham disappears. His son goes to the island years and years later, finds out about everything, and that's the story that they are translating into a TV show. Now, the TV companies that are going to be distributing this are Mar Vista Entertainment. I've never heard of them, and I Am Global Television. Also, never heard of them. I'm pretty disappointed in this because I think if you're going to have one of the largest franchises in history, one of the longest running franchises in history, one of the most, probably the most important franchise in history, adapted into a television series after nearly 100 years, I think HBO should be the one to do it because they've proven themselves time after time after time. They've proven that they can make really good entertainment. So I'm pretty worried about these unknown companies taking on the task. They work the same way as HBO, these two movie, or I guess they're TV companies. They work the same way. They distribute movies. So this is going to be their original series. Don't know what channel it's going to air on yet. Don't know anything like that. We don't even know who the main female lead is. We just know they're going to make a King Kong series starring a female lead. Also pretty interesting because notice how when I just gave you the plot synopsis of the original story that they're basing this TV show off of, not once did I mention a female, because from what I know, there really isn't a main female character, so I don't know how they're going to do this. I really don't want them to push the feminist angle too much, because I don't want this to backfire the same way it did for the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. I want it to just be solid like Kong Skull Island did with their female characters, although, as me and Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir, talked about in our recent Kong Skull Island discussion review, we talked about how we think that the female character should have gotten a little bit more to do. Now, I think these female characters in this show, I guess if one of them is going to be the lead, obviously she's going to have a lot to do, but I don't want them to like force it on us too much. I feel like Star Wars is doing that a little bit recently. Not that I have a problem with it. I've just noticed kind of general backlash on the internet because of it, of them being like, please, just like, we get it. Females are cool, all right? You don't have to shove it down our throat like you've been doing. Even some channels like Beyond the Trailers have commented on this recently. So I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. I really hope it's good. I hope they have a really high budget. Please, guys, give us an HBO-style Game of Thrones budget. We need it for King Kong. If the CG looks bad, or if the writing sucks, if the actors aren't good, it's going to be so disappointing. It's going to be just oh, I'm going to be so upset if that happens. So I really hope it's good. I'll be doing episode reviews when it comes out. Make sure to stick around for that, as well as continued updates on all the Kong Skull Island news you've been looking for. Now, especially that I've caught up on news and I'm current, up to date, I will definitely stay on top of it. I'm going to get into Godzilla 2014. I don't know why I keep saying that. It's just a force of habit. I'm going to get into Godzilla King of the Monsters news here in these next few days, and then I'll be doing a final Shin Godzilla news update for a while because there's a little bit more news to talk about there, or I might just merge the two into one video. I don't know. It's all up in the air at this point. I have not set anything in stone. Just know that there's going to be a Godzilla news update coming out that potentially contains Shin Godzilla as well as King of the Monsters news, due to the casting calls and recent castings of characters in Godzilla King of the Monsters. Anyways, what I was trying to say is, now that I'm up to date on all the Kong Skull Island news, I will definitely continue to stay up to date on all the Kong Skull Island news. This includes DVD coverage as well as box office coverage over these next few months. So thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you stick around all for that. D-Man, out.